Neil Silvert from Your Gray Matters. This week we're going to explore a really miraculous solution to a really big problem. You've read in the newspaper, you may have seen yourself, and you've heard of spills. Oil spills, gas spills, petroleum spills, things that hurt our environment. Today we're going to introduce you to a woman named Lynn Hurdman. She owns a company called Peat Sorb, an all-Canadian product made from Canadian sphagnum peat moss that miraculously cleans up these spills on contact with no effect on the environment. Economical, safe to use, no toxicity. This product has been around for a lot of years. It has solved a lot of problems. Today, I'd like you to be aware of this miracle called Peat Sorb. We'll see you in a minute or two on Your Gray Matters. Views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Your Gray Matters podcast. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The Your Gray Matters podcast name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. Hi everybody, my name's Neil Silvert, and today we're going to introduce you to one of the great products for fighting ecosystem disasters. Every day on this planet there are spills on land, on water, of hydrocarbons, which are known as oils, gases, petroleum products. We also have chemicals and poisons, and these spills can do terrible, terrible damage to our ecosystems. These spills are on land, these spills are on water, and the people who are responsible for cleaning them have really, really tough jobs because time becomes an absolute part of this, because the longer time to clean up a spill, the longer it will take to solve the damage that these products can cause to the ecosystem. Today, we are really privileged to have Lynn Hurdman with us. Lynn Hurdman is the owner of a company called Peat Sorb 2011 Inc. For over 30 years, this all-Canadian product, Peat Sorb, has been solving these terrible environmental disasters all over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like you to learn about this product. Your local gas station should be using it when they change your oil, or your local car dealership, truck dealerships. But also this product can be used on water. The Coast Guard has used it. Other important big companies are using it. We want you to know about it. Good afternoon, Lynn. Welcome to this podcast. We're excited to have you. Tell us a bit about Lynn Hurdman. How did you ever get involved with something called Peat Sorb?
Good afternoon, Neil. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Yes, the company predates me. I'm not the original founder, but glad I found it. And what a difference it makes, and what a great feeling you have when you can make a difference in this world. You know, they're not to name specific industries as culprits, but we certainly have, you know, a global economy that relies on hydrocarbons. Therefore, there is going to be spillages. Therefore, you need Peat Sorb. It's a clean choice. It's a clean solution. And yes, it works on land and works on water, on in factories, you know, outdoors, indoors. It doesn't matter the climate. We have a very unique opportunity to take advantage of using Peat Sorb as an environmental response not adding more chemicals to chemicals, because we're compounding the ecological effects and the recovery time, which
So
affects.
Lynn, sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. I got to ask you a
Yes.
question because you've got me really interested. I keep hearing the word peat. So tell
Mhm.
me about this product. Why is this? Is this the same as every other absorbent, or is this different? How is it made? Why is it a great Canadian product?
Well, peat is actually quite unique in that it has survived the millennia. So it's hardy. It's a natural resource to Canada. We have 25% of the world's peat in our country,
Hmm.
and so it becomes a product that's in demand globally.
So is this like peat moss that I buy in the grocery store, or is this different?
This is different. It is definitely the same species of peat, which is the sphagnum peat moss. However, through a proprietary process, we change its response to water. It's born of water, and now it repels water and it seeks its relative, the hydrocarbon. So with its cellular structure, it wicks in through its capillary action the hydrocarbon into its cells, locks it into its cellular structure. The natural humic acid within the peat starts to break down the hydrocarbon. It becomes a food source for the indigenous microbes that are present in soil or water, which proliferates the microorganisms which help digest the hydrocarbon. So the result is everything is working to break down the hydrocarbon to its simplest elements, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and water. And the peat breaks down last and becomes a fertilizer. So now we have enriched the soil, enriched the environment for greener, healthier vegetation. I have a study from the University of Michigan, their botany department, which states it's better to have a spill than not have a spill. If peat sorb is going to be the spill response solution, your vegetation grows back greener and healthier than before the spill. So how impressive is that? You can't ask for a better answer.
And everything you said is amazing. But forgive me, I'm just curious. So you're not just taking sphagnum peat moss that they use in agriculture. Are you doing something to it to make it repel water and absorb, or there's got to be something here that you're not telling us.
Yeah. So when you take peat, as we all understand, it comes from peat bogs. It is saturated with water, and therefore it becomes a growing medium. It nurtures plant roots, keeps moisture around the root structure, and allows for the plant to grow and produce its optimum yield if it's a crop, for example. What we do is we take that peat and through a high heat dehydration process, we are extracting the water from the cells. And now the cells are open to absorb a hydrocarbon. It's a very interesting process because it causes the, as it were, the DNA of the peat, born of water, to repel water, seek its relative, encapsulate only the hydrocarbon. And this is the brilliance of discovering what nature can do, because the answers to all our ailments are really found in nature.
So you're telling me you're taking natural Canadian sphagnum peat moss, you're dehydrating it at a high temperature,
Mhm.
and it changes to an absorbing product that absorbs hydrocarbons because that's what it likes to eat.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my God. So then what I'm hearing from you is you're not adding any chemicals. There's nothing toxic about using this product. Once it has the hydrocarbons in it, is it toxic to the environment or does it break down? What happens to it?
Right. So it neutralizes on contact the toxicity of a hydrocarbon. And therefore, once it's neutralized, it can then start to eliminate any threat to the environment through its neutralizing properties. And then beyond that, once it's encapsulated, this is where it goes to task and starts to break down the complete toxicity. So our lab tests will show with various hydrocarbons that you will get below regulatory limits, you can get non-detect. Basically, the environmental inspectors determine what result does the polluter need to achieve. And that determines how much peat sorb you would introduce into the spill response.
Wow. So you said the company's been around for a long time. It predates you said, but I'm sure that you have some interesting examples. I'm just curious. I imagine I had another speaker and he was teaching me that there have been changes as to how we have to take care of soil. And so if you have contaminated soil, let's say, for example, would peat sorb work to decontaminate that depending on what's in the soil?
Precisely. So peat sorb, its pH is 4 to 6. Okay, 0 to 7 reading on pH is considered neutral. So there we go. Peat sorb is neutral with its pH. So when you introduce it into the soil, because its pH is 4 to 6, which is neutral, it is not going to disturb the pH balance of the soil. Okay, so we're introducing the pH balance that is neutral. We're going after the hydrocarbon. We're neutralizing the toxic hydrocarbon, and we break it down. So again, coming back to University of Michigan, we have the vegetation as a benefactor for having used peat sorb in situ. You can also use it ex situ. It is dependent on the project manager who's coordinating the spill response, how they want to use the peat, but it's completely versatile in the soil and out of the soil.
So I've been told that fire departments use it, and I know that they use it in their mechanical shops. I would imagine when they're fixing the equipment, there's a spill. But I think that you were telling me that one of the problems is when you have vapors, explosive vapors, and how does peat sorb react with that?
Again, because it neutralizes the hydrocarbon, it's neutralizing its toxicity, it's neutralizing its volatility. And so this is what's quite remarkable. It's a product that continues to amaze everyone who encounters it. And we have tests where we have taken a reservoir of diesel. We have placed a solid layer of peat sorb across the diesel. We've taken a torch with a rag on the end and kerosene, lit the torch, and you take it across peat sorb that's covering the diesel, and there's absolutely no flashback, no ignition, not even a spark.
So there's no chance for an explosion.
No.
So
No.
this is a potentially life-saving product for sure. And then you also told me that this works on water. This is amazing to me. So from what you were telling me is if there's a spill in a body of water, they can put how do they actually put the peat sorb onto the spill in the water? And then if you could tell me what happens once it's on the water, and then do you just leave it in the water, or how would you remediate it?
So the first job is to recover as much of the oil that has been spilled. The oil and gas companies want to recover their oil, and this can be done through vacuuming suction machines. There are many apparatus for that. Once the oil has been recovered, what's usually left is rainbows in the water. And that's where Peat Sorb comes in, because the rainbows are virtually impossible to remove unless you have Peat Sorb. Peat Sorb goes again, it repels the water, encapsulates the rainbows, and then you can use the same apparatus that was used to recover the oil in the first place with the vacuum trucks, manual skimmers, mechanical skimmers, and then this can be taken back on shore. It can be incinerated. It can be used as an alternative fuel source. 1 pound encapsulated hydrocarbon within the peat will generate up to 15,500 BTUs per pound. So that's impressive that it can be used as an alternative fuel source and can even be resold, right? After it's been recovered with the oil. So money can be made as a second business out of responding with Peat Sorb.
Wow. So how do you get it onto the spill if you're out in a boat, or how does all that work? Because I think you told me that the US Coast Guard gave you a thumbs up on this. Maybe talk to us about water use of Peat Sorb.
Yep. So the US Coast Guard has given permission for Peat Sorb to be used anywhere in the USA. I also have the United States Environmental Protection Agency's approval. It meets the criteria of absorbent and therefore can be used anywhere in the USA. And for that matter, it can be used anywhere in the world. You know, people look at the fact that the US Coast Guard and the US EPA have approved Peat Sorb, and that's good enough to get me into every other country.
Wow.
Also note that during the proprietary process, we are actually extinguishing or killing off any microbes. So we're not importing microbes from Canada and sharing them with another country. We are coming in as a clean product.
And you have a Canadian government letter stating that, I believe.
Yes, I do. So the Canadian Food and Agricultural Agency, they are the ones that monitor products that have microbes or do not have microbes. And they have given me a blanket letter for plant organizations around the world to be aware that Peat Sorb is user-friendly and should be welcomed into any country for spill response.
This is a terrific product. I think you told me too that years ago there was a terrible spill off the coast of a South American country, and eventually they used Peat Sorb to clean it all up. It was efficient, clean, but no plants, no animals were hurt. It really took care of the shoreline, the water, and the plants and animals in the area. And it was effective in cleanup. I think you were telling me this. That's way back in the 90s, I think.
May of 1994 in Brazil, and there was a ruptured pipeline and spewed 2.7 million liters into the Atlantic Ocean. The Minister of the Environment for Brazil met with the officials from the oil and gas company on the scene of the coastal beaches that were actually shut down from tourist use until they could resolve the enormity, the calamity of this amount of oil coming into the surf and coming onto the shore. So truly a huge, huge amount of oil to deal with. Fortunately, there happened to be a distributor for Peat Sorb in Brazil near the spill scene and was able to coordinate an appointment to show them live what Peat Sorb can do. And it was able to show it can remove the oil completely off of a crab. Using Peat Sorb in a manual way, deploying it right into the oil-laden surf, and as it hits the shore, now you've got a rakeable solid in which you can cart off into a wheelbarrow,
Mm.
and you would be amazed to know that it was only 2 weeks and the beaches were declared open and safe to the public again. And we were singularly chosen as the only product for that cleanup.
And Lynn, it amazes me because our whole world, and certainly our country, the focus is in the environment. The focus is making us all safe. We're worried about things. And here we have a natural Canadian product. You literally add in heated air under control, of course, and you've got the world answer with no toxicity, no poisoning, no challenges. This is amazing. But now I'm going to try and stump you. So what happens, because this repels water and clearly is very effective, everybody, this is an amazing product. But what happens when there's water contamination with hydrocarbons in it? I think of mines or petroleum industry with tailing pits and those kind of challenges. Peat Sorb, I don't think will handle those. Do you have an answer for this?
Certainly do.
I
So,
wasn't sure.
yeah. So Peat Sorb in its own right, as you say, 30 plus years old, really has a Vince Lombardi attitude. We do one thing and we do it well. And then one day, a few years back, I took a call from a US state, and they had a problem. 15,000 gallons of water coming in daily into a holding area that as soon as it came in, it had to be solidified. Now, they were using sawdust, but this couldn't get them to landfill. And this was a poor solidifier, but this was the culprit. This was the problem. Could I help them? And initially, I thought the call was asking me to give them clean water and separate the hydrocarbon, which most certainly we could have done. But he professed that, no, Lynn, I want the whole thing gone, the water and the hydrocarbon.
Wow. Wow.
So how the story ends is I had the exact problem that he called black oil, black water, couriered to our lab, where we designed a new product called WHA, water hydrocarbon absorbent. So now we have two ways to tackle pollution. One is to repel the water and give clean soil, give clean water, right? The other one is to absorb the water and the hydrocarbons so everything is solidified. And then you're leaving the reservoir pit clean for the next delivery of hydrocarbons and water.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So this is a miracle in itself, I would imagine.
Pretty impressive. It seems no matter what the challenge, Peatsorb is up for it. And I get asked many questions. What about copper? Can it absorb copper? What about arsenic, mercury, DDT? Yes, yes, and yes. We are the yes product.
Wow. Well, this has been eye-opening. You have to ask yourself a question, ladies and gentlemen. Why wouldn't you use this product? Why wouldn't people just know that Peat Sorb, and what's the other product's name?
WHA.
And stands for?
Water hydrocarbon absorbent.
And they're both Peat Sorb products. And depending on the issue, depending on the problem, we have an environmentally safe, effective method to clean up spills. Lynn, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. This is really a great product line. And if you want more information, we're going to post our contact info. Please contact us right away. We will be happy to answer these questions for you. So thanks very much for listening today. There'll be more exciting and interesting items coming your way through the Your Gray Matters podcast. And thank you to Lynn Hurdman of Peat Sorb 2011 Inc. What an awesome product. Just amazing. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much.
Take care.